Now we're going to look at how to create a new wall style in Revit 2020. So we're going to go down to the family and go to the right bottom where the wall category is, and we're going to expand on basic wall. And I'm just going to use a generic 150mm as a base to start. So I'm just going to double click on it, and I'm going to duplicate this and save this as, give it a name of 152mm stud with wood siding. And say OK. Now let's take a look at how we can create a new wall style based on existing wall style and the error we may encounter while we're creating this new wall style. We're going to click on the edit button here under structure or next to the structure field here, and we'll open up the edit assembly dialog box. And in this existing wall style, there's only one material layer, which is structure, and the material is by category, and it's 150mm. Now I'm going to change this to metal stud layer by clicking on this button here in the material field. On the right side, there's a little gray button with a three little dot. You click on this, you open up the material selection dialog box. They call the material browser. Now I want to look for a metal stud layer, so I just type in stud in the search field, and it will sort it, and I find my metal stud layer. I'm going to click on this and select apply, select OK, so that will be assigned to it. Now in the first column function, you'll see if I click in here, you'll see the drop down, and you can set these category of material with these number of settings in here. So you have structure, which is default, and you have substrate, you have thermal air layer, you have finish 1 and finish 2, and then membrane layer. Now when you're assigning a membrane layer, only the membrane layer will allow you to have 0 thickness, okay? And also there's certain hierarchy that you cannot have some layer of, or have a substrate layer on top of the finish layer. So when you do that, it will give you an error when you try to save these wall styles. So we're going to go through and test it now. I'm going to show you why the error occur. I'll demonstrate this error to you. So now the layer, actually the wall style we are trying to create is just a very simple wood siding on metal stud structure, which is going to consist of, from the inside we have 13mm gypsum wallboard, and then we're going to have a air vapor barrier, and then we're going to have insulation with the stud cavity, and then we're going to have a 1/2 inch plywood on the outside, and then we're going to have air barrier, and then we're going to have 25mm airspace, and then the exterior wood siding, which is roughly about 3/4 inch, about 20mm thick. So we're going to select the insert button here and create all these layers first. So we're going to click insert, 2 layers on the inside, and then we're going to need another 3 layers on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to move 2 layers on the inside by clicking down, and I'm going to move all these 3 layers to the outside, clicking here up, up. We're going to need 1 more layer on the outside, so we're going to insert 1 more layer, so we have all these layers we need. Now first I'm going to go in here on this layer. I'm going to change that to vapor barrier. Select OK, and this is 0. And then this is going to be the dry wall layer, so it's going to have a 13mm. Now just to do the quick demonstration, only the vapor barrier or membrane layer can have 0 thickness. If I select OK, it's going to give me error that all these layers cannot have 0 thickness. So I'm just going to change that. So this can be 0, and this is going to be my plywood layer, and this is going to be 13mm. And then this is going to be air barrier, so it's going to be 0. This is going to be a 25mm airspace, and then we're going to have 20mm wood siding. And now once I set all that, I'm going to select OK again. It's still going to give me error on row 3 and row 8, which is this layer and this layer. Because I have a set of structure, it's going to give me an error. So we're going to click in here and change that to a membrane layer. And then we will not have an error if we try to save it. We select OK, it's going to let us do it. So we go back and open it up. Now for this, we're going to assign material for the rest of the information here. So in the inside, we're going to click in here and select gypsum wallboard. So we find gypsum wallboard, select OK. So we assign material here, and then we're going to click in here. This is going to be the airspace. So we select air and select OK. And then we're going to select siding. So wood siding, select OK. Now we select OK, it should work. It should not give us any error because you can have all these structure on the outside. Select OK. So it doesn't give us any error. Now if we actually, so for these wood siding, it should be a finish layer. So if we click in here, select finish one, and then on the inside here, this is going to be gypsum wallboard, so it's not be a structure. So we click in here and set that to be a finish one, and then again we select OK. This is probably a thermal air layer for vapor, for air. Well, actually, not. I select the wrong field for the vapor barrier, so I'm just going to click in here, Control C, and paste it back into this layer, membrane layer. And this should be the air space. So we're going to click in air, type air in here. So this is the air space. So we corrected that. Now, if we select OK now, it should be fine. But sometime when we actually assigning these kind of material, and we forgot about this function here. So if we set a function of this, which is finished, to be a substrate or a structure, and then change this to be a finish, so it's going to give you an error. When you select OK, it's going to say error. Layer 2 position cannot ascend from the core boundary to the finish phase. Now, because you cannot have a structure on top of the finish, it doesn't make any sense. So that's why it's giving you error. So if you change this back to finish, and this is two finishes, and you select OK, it's going to be OK. It's not going to give you an error. So you have to think about the type of material on top of each other, how they relate to each other in this sequence from the exterior side to the interior side. Then you can avoid the error which I just demonstrated. So to make these properly, according to the material is associated with, so this layer should really be thermal air layer. Now one more thing we need to fix in here is this finish layer is not going to be vapor barrier. We're going to change it back to gypsum wallboard. So gypsum wallboard, select OK, and now this is this wall assembly is the way we want it. So I hope you find this information helpful, and if you like, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and thank you for watching.